Well, many of you might say, what in the world are you talking about? Luke Skywalker learned Force Repel on his own. This your boy Carcino. Welcome to Screen Fiend. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and select all. When fighting against the Emperor, going up against him the very first time, he learned Force Repel on his own. In the novelization, it said he had never seen anything like it once the Emperor hit him with the Force lightning as it went through his body looking for ground, ripping through his body. And he says, he never felt such a manipulation of the Force, and that the lightning was created by the Force. And since it was created by the Force, it could be repelled by the Force. So, without even any knowledge and training from Yoda or anything else of knowing how to use Force Repel, Luke Skywalker repelled right there. The scene was edited out of Star Wars lore, but he had repelled the Emperor's lightning blast. When his hand was out, he had repelled one of the Emperor's attacks against him, the lightning repel. With his hand extended, Luke had deflected the lightning. Something Darth Vader had not seen since Yoda did it. And because of the fact Luke Skywalker was able to use Force Repel, the Emperor changed his attack. The lightning came in faster and from different directions, as it was too powerful and he was too skilled for Luke. And there was no way Luke could be able to defeat him. Luke beat him by using a technique that was unbeknown to the Jedi and unbeknown to any other parts of the Force. He beat them with knowledge of the Force. He trusted himself, went against the Jedi's order, and went with his own. He used love. A father's love for his son would be greater, and it's a greater attribute to the Force than following the code of the Jedi. That even if Luke would have held his lightsaber, he still wouldn't have been able to defeat the Emperor. As many had foreseen that if he had a lightsaber, he would have blocked it and could have. That wasn't the case. He was not skilled enough to defeat the Emperor. He would have lost. The only thing that could defeat the Emperor was his own ego and pride, and having it fall the way it did by turning his father back to the light. defying the Emperor and his ways and turning his back against the dark side, opened up and led to what you see here before you. Luke Skywalker's Force Repel is in Star Wars written novelization and was never put on film because they didn't know how to really do it at the time. So they just had Luke hand extend, and some of the electronical blast, lightning blast from the Emperor was deflected. But the Emperor doubled down on his attacks, made him stronger, faster, till Luke was basically powerless on the ground. So you're learning the truth today. So this is when I try to inform you that the Last Jedi wasn't a far reach from the character of Luke Skywalker, even if Mark Hamill doesn't agree, because he's saying Luke is an optimistic human being. Luke was very optimistic, but after seeing the Return of the Jedi, it would take you in a position where you would not see Luke as a very optimistic person. Here's a guy who's been basically manipulated to being a weapon. Yep, that's right, a weapon for the Jedis to get back at the Sith. And if you watch the entire Star Wars from episode 1, they never liked Skywalker. Obi-Wan didn't like him. He didn't like his father. Nobody liked his father. His father was an outcast, basically, with the Jedis. He was walked in there, put in position, and they was like, he's the chosen one? You know, they were like, They didn't like him. They didn't want him on the Jedi Council. They didn't want him in there. They created and helped push him towards the dark side. The Emperor knew this because he knew how the Jedis worked. He was in charge. He watched them. He know their ego is great, and they cannot stand for anyone else to make a decision. And that's why he was making decisions to put Anakin in charge of this and put Anakin in charge. He knew the Jedis would shoot it down because he knows they have a dogmatic view of it's the order of the Jedi. We follow the code, the order, when the code is flawed. So when the code was, you saw how flawed it was, the organization of it, you started to see the follies in their ways. And the Last Jedi deleted scenes, which I thought should have been included into the scenes, was a very telling moment. Remember, they go through like 3 lessons that he was teaching her. They never kind of get to lesson 2. Lesson 2 is in the deleted scenes. And he tells her that these guys are going to raid the village and raid these poor defenseless people. Now, the Jedi way will tell you, don't go down there and get involved, because if you do, they're going to come back with more. They're going to be in larger numbers and greater people if you go down there just to save those few people. But if you go down and save those few and do that, they're going to come back with greater numbers and do more damage. So the lesson is to do nothing and let the attack happen. That's the Jedi way. Now, many could not follow that, as Rey did not. And she eagerly threw herself in. What's up, Mr. Hogan? Dwayne B. eagerly threw herself in and said, screw that. Jumped down there and charged and went full speed ahead towards the action to go rescue those villagers, only to find out it was just a celebrational party. And Luke goes down there and teaches her a lesson and says, see, you did it as an act. What's up, DJ? He said, see, what you did was an act of you acting off emotion. That's what the rebellion needs, not somebody that's following the order of the Jedi. Because the Jedi would have had you do nothing and let the people die. So that's why he was saying, don't follow the views of the Jedi. Well, him learning the Force Repel on his own just showed you the range Luke had with the Force, because he thought out of the box. Everybody said, oh, well, Yoda didn't warn him. Yoda told him, do not underestimate the powers of the Emperor. That's all he needed to tell him. He didn't have to say, hey, look out for that lightning. He got some lightning stuff that come out his arms, man. Luke underestimated the powers of the Emperor. He threw down his lightsaber because he saw a feeble old man who had some control of the Force, but he didn't see him as powerful. He saw him as feeble and weak. So he threw down his lightsaber and thought, well, this guy can't harm me. He has to use Vader to extract his justice because he's too old. And when Vader tell him, you don't know the powers of the dark side, I must obey my master. He didn't get it. He just thought it was some just unforeseeable devotion. He just couldn't get the control he actually had over him. With one swift move of his finger, Vader's life support system is cut. The Emperor can just short it out with electrical blast, and Vader's gone. So Vader knew the Emperor was slipping when he told him Luke was on the planet and the Emperor did not sense his presence. Funny, you have and I have not. Are you sure your mind is clear for this, Lord Vader? He was, yes, my mind is clear. Then go to him. I have foreseen it. It's like, he will come to me. He will come to you. You shall bring him before me. Vader saw then that the Emperor could not sense the connection he had with his son. It was like a private line that they had. Like, look, we got this private phone. Me and you could talk. Emperor he can't hear it. picked him up, scooped him, dumped him on his head. And we did not need the George Lucas no added to the doggone thing. No. I'm like, we did not need that, George. Did not need the no. No. Is Ahsoka going to be the Gray Jedi? I don't know. It's very difficult to tell at this time. But Luke did do the Force Repel, and it's in the novelization of the Return of the Jedi. He used the Force Repel against the Emperor when he was hit with lightning. He figured it out from the first time he was hit with the lightning. He couldn't believe it. Said it to himself. What type of manipulation of the Force is this? If this is really lightning coming from him and it's coming from the Force, if it's created from the Force, it could be repelled by the Force. So he repelled it with his hand. And this is what he was trying to do when he stuck his hand out. They just couldn't do for some reason, they couldn't do the work that needed to be done to have Luke actually repel the lightning. And once he did it one time, the Emperor changed the speeds of the lightning, made it come from different directions. So Luke didn't know what to do. As the Emperor had become more efficient with his Force lightning, it became an unguardable weapon. About time he fought Luke. Much different than when he fought Master Yoda. He learned different variations of attack from the Force lightning. And the Emperor was not as feeble as Luke thought. Just like in the caves, he failed. He underestimated the powers of the Emperor. And this is from the lack of training. So Luke relied on a power the Force didn't even foresee, turning his father back to the light. So he didn't use the Jedi way. He didn't use the Sith way. He used his own way. And that's why in The Last Jedi, Rian Johnson was giving you something that you hadn't seen. A Luke Skywalker who was completely against the Jedi ways, because he did not use the Jedi ways to save and stop the Emperor. The Jedi way would have failed. He was no match for the powers of the Emperor. Even if he had a damn lightsaber, he could not get past that. See how his teeth turning blue? He ain't never been hit with none of that on the farm. Yoda had not prepared him for this. Yoda didn't even want to train him. He wanted to train Leia. Never wanted to deal with Luke. So the best defense he only had was his father to join him and lead the Emperor. He trusted the love of his father. But Luke negated what Yoda told him. Never underestimate the powers of the Emperor. And he did, just like he did in the cave when he said, hey, you won't need it. He took it anyway. He failed. But Yoda failed at teaching Luke, because what he failed in teaching him was that Luke didn't need him. Luke didn't need Yoda at all. So when he came back when Yoda was sick, he said, what about the training? You know all that you need. You don't need me. Luke has taught himself. And he knew he was so powerful with the Force, you possess everything you need. Yoda could feel it. Yoda like, man, this is a powerful Mog in front of me right now. I'm finna check out. I'm about to check out, baby. You got this. Anyway, I'm finna drop another video on Carcino for Life. I'm out.